tradition suggests, or more than suggests, tells us that in this case we don't do the Kabbalat Shabbat service as we normally know it, because there's not a need for transition. And that's its purpose, is to read a series of Psalms with a moment of transition. So we do the last two Psalms, the Psalm for Shabbat, one more Psalm, and then we go straight into Baruch Hu. The other thing you'll note is that the melodies are going to be all over the place. You'll hear a melody that is specific to Shalosh Regalim, to Sukkot, Pesach, and Shavuot. And other moments I'll slide into Shabbat melodies. So join me on this journey as we sort of blend two different experiences into one. We begin on page 23 with the Psalm for Shabbat. Mizmor shir, shir leyom, leyom ha-Shabbat. Mizmor shir, shir leyom ha-Shabbat. Tov lehodo, lehodo l'Adonai. Ol ezamer shimcha elyon, hagid baboker, baboker chasdecha, ve'emunatcha ba'aleilot. Mizmor shir, shir leyom, leyom ha-Shabbat. Mizmor shir, shir leyom ha-Shabbat. Ale asor v'ale navel, ale higayon b'chinor, kise maktani Adonai before alecha b'mase yadecha aranin. Mizmor shir, shir leyom, leyom ha-Shabbat. Mizmor shir, shir leyom ha-Shabbat. Magalu amasakarane ma'olam k'mokshok techish b'olam. Od yenuvum b'seva d'sheni v'rananim yiyu lagid ki asher Adonai tzuri v'lo avlatabo. Page 24. Adonai malachni lavesh Adonai l'tazal. Idotecha nemenu mo levedecha nava kodesh Adonai liorech yamim. Mourner's Kaddish, page 24. Yitgadal v'yitgadash shemei rabbah, v'yalma divrach yirutei v'yamlich malchutei, b'chayechon uv'yomechon uv'chayei dechol beit Yisrael, ba'agala uv'izman kari v'imru amen. Yehi shmei rabbah mevorach leolam l'amei almaya. Yitbarak v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh v'yithadar v'yitaleh v'yithalal shemei dekudesha b'richu le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata tushbechata v'nechemata da'amiran b'yalma v'yimru amen. Yehi shlama rabba min shemaya v'chayim aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'yimru amen. Oseh shalom bimromav, hu ya'aseh shalom, aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'imru, amen. We turn to page 28 and we rise. Be seated. El Chai v'Kayam Tamid Yimloch Aleinu Le'olam V'Oed Baruch Ata Adonai Hamarim 29. Ahavat olam bid Yisroel amcha avta Torah u'mitvot chukim u'mishpatim otanu limadita Al ken Adonai Eloheinu b'shogvenu v'kumenu nasiach b'chukecha v'nizmach b'divrei Toratecha u'b'mitzvotecha li'olam v'oed ki hem chayenu v'yorech yameinu v'yorech yameinu u'ahem negeh yomam v'layla yomam v'layla v'yahavatcha tasim mimenu li'olamim baruch ata Adonai ohev amo Yisrael Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Echad V'ahavta it Adonai Elohecha b'chol levavecha u'b'chol nafshecha u'b'chol me'odecha v'hayu advarim ha'ile asher anochi mitzavecha hayom al levavecha v'shinantam levanecha v'dibarta bam v'shivtecha b'veitecha u'v'lechtecha v'derech u'v'shochpecha u'v'kumecha v'gishartam le'ot al yadecha v'hayu letotafot bein einecha uchtavtam המזוזות ביתך ובשעריך והים שמעו תשמעו את אותה אשר נקם מצוואתכם היום לעבדים בגלוב לבכם שלכם ונתתם את ארצכם בעיטה הדבר אשר אתם נתין לכם ושמתם את דברי אלה על לבבכם ונפשכם וקשרתם אותם שנשבע אדוני לאבותינו לתת להם כי מי השמיים על הארץ ויאמר אדוני על משה למי מדבר על בני ישראל ואמרת עליהם ויעשה להם Adonai Elohechem Emet. Page 32. ומלכותו ברצון קיבלו עליהם משה ובני ישראל הכנו שירה בשמחה רבה ויאמרו כולם מי כמוך באלים אדוני מי כמוך נדר בקודש נורת עילות עושה פלא מלכותך ראו בניך בוקע ים לפני משה זה לי ענו ואמרו אדוני ימלוך לעולם ועד ונאמר כי פדה אדוני את יעקב גאלו מיד חזק ממנו ברוך אתה אדוני גיא ישראל. Page 33. השכיבנו אדוני אלוהינו לשלום והעמידנו מלכנו לחיים Hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu l'shalom v'hamidenu makenu l'chayim. Ufros alenu sukat shlomecha baruch ata Adonai hapore sukat shalom alenu v'yakol amo Yisrael v'ya Yerushalayim. Turn to page 34. We rise for Vishamru. Vishamru v'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat lasor et ha-Shabbat lidorotam berit olam. Vishamru v'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat lasor et ha-Shabbat לדורותם ברית עולם. בני ובן בני ישראל אותי לעולם, אותי לעולם, אותי לעולם. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. כי ששת ימים עשה אדוני את השמיים ואת הארץ, ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. וביום השביעי שבת וינפש, שבת וינפש, שבת וינפש. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. וידבר משה את מועדי אדוני אל בני ישראל. יתקדש שמי רבה ביאמר דברה קירותי וימליך מלכותי בחייכון וביומכון ובחייך בית ישראל. בעגלה בעגלה ובזמן קריב יאמרו יש מרבה מברך לעולם עולם ימיה. יתברך וישתבח ויתפאר ויתרומם ויתנשא ויתהדר ויתעלה ויתעלה. שמי לקודשה בריחו לעילא מן כל ברכתה ושירתה תושבחתה ונחמתה דמירן בימיו יאמרו. The festival Amidah can be found on page 41. Beginning on page 41, we include the insertions for Shavuot and for Shabbat. Page 41. Ose shalom bimromav, uyase shalom aleinu, v'yako Yisrael, v'imro imru amen. Yase shalom, shalom aleinu v'yako Yisrael. 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 V'yimeru. Shabbat shalom, Chag Sameach, lots going on. It is often the case that the things that everybody knows to be true aren't. Marie Antoinette never said, "Let them eat cake." Vincent van Gogh did not cut off his ear to impress a lover. And despite what my well-meaning mother told me, swallowed gum does not stay in your stomach for 7 years, and if you make a funny face, it will not stick. There are many popular myths about Jewish law. One of the most widespread is that a Jew with a tattoo cannot be buried in a Jewish cemetery. One memorable student even once emphatically argued with me that the rabbis require that the tattoo be cut off before burial, presumably leaving many Jewish cadavers buried sans arms, legs, and the occasional bum. That's the British that I picked up on my traveling throughout Europe. It's all totally false. While Jewish law does prohibit tattoos, there is no source, none, ancient or modern, for the idea of excluding a tattooed Jew from proper burial. As noted by Rabbi Alan Lucas, writing for the Conservative Movement's Committee on Jewish Law and Standards, however distasteful we may find the practice of tattooing, there is no basis for restricting burial for a Jew who violates this prohibition. And yet, the rumor persists. A much more damaging myth is the concept that a prospective convert must be turned away 3 times before being accepted for conversion. This ubiquitous idea is referenced everywhere, from recent articles in the Washington Post, in Israel's Haaretz, to popular TV shows like Sex and the City and Orange is the New Black. Over the almost 45 years in this career, I've met candidates for conversion. I found that a number of them have come to me fully expecting to be turned away. Sadly, there are undoubtedly many more who never even began the journey, who never showed up at my door out of fear of the anticipated inevitable rejection. The turning away 3 times, this idea originates from a collection of midrashim called Ruth Rabbah. In the 6th century document, we find a quote from Rabbi Shmuel Bar Nachmani, who notes that Naomi, the mother-in-law of Ruth, urged her 3 times to return to her kin after the death of her husband. And Rabbi Nachmani says, she says, turn back 3 times, which corresponds to the 3 times one pushes off a convert. That's the source. However, Interestingly, Rabbi Shmuel's position that one ought to dissuade a potential convert 3 times was never codified in law. In fact, to the contrary, the authoritative legal texts go in the opposite direction, demanding that anyone who expresses sincere interest in Judaism be immediately welcomed. The preeminent code of Jewish law, the Shulchan Aruch, states the following. It says, when a person comes to convert, we tell them, do you know that Israel faces oppression and other challenges? And if they reply, I know, and yet I'd still be honored, then we befriend them, immediately accept them, and begin to teach them. So according to Jewish law, one does not need to turn a person away 3 times, or even once. All that is required is one straightforward question of intent, ensuring that a person who's trying to opt in understands what it means to throw in their lot with the Jewish people. Oftentimes, it's quite difficult. If they answer with sincerity, they are to be met with a loving embrace and a hearty welcome to the family. On Shavuot, tomorrow morning, we will read the book of Ruth. And there we pay respect to the spiritual courage it took her and all her children after her to take a leap into the unknown, into a new path. To leave the comforts of home, to leave the comforts of family, and to embrace becoming part of a new family, declaring, your God is my God, your people is my people. But it's not enough to pay lip service. Unfortunately, I've heard many stories from some of those on the path to conversion who were met with suspicion or outright rejection. I remember my own grandmother sitting and talking in her, I don't want to say ignorance because that's disrespectful, her lack of knowledge and saying, yeah, I don't accept any converts. It was just some folklore that she was embracing. All Jewish communities need to take a hard look at themselves and ask, why does everyone know that we turn away converts 3 times, but too few people know that the actual law is to do the exact opposite? This is a powerful moment. A recent news podcast to which I listened reported a study which claimed that more than 20% of Americans are not practicing the religion in which they grew up. Now, many of them have left altogether, but many of them have simply chosen a different path. People are not necessarily following the path in which they grew up, and as a result, many people have the opportunity to come to Judaism. In recent years, under Rabbi Teller's guidance, we have expanded our conversion program. For the coming year, I am so excited. We already have 10 candidates for conversion, 10 people willing to commit a year of study, 10 people committed to learning Hebrew, 10 people committed to spending Shabbat with the community. Following the formal mikvah and the conversion at the end, we'll be blessed to formally and enthusiastically welcome these Jews who will bring new energies to our synagogue and to Jewish life throughout our community. At this profound moment of both crisis and opportunity, we must definitively bust this myth once and for all. Rabbi Shmuel's minority position was rejected by the sages millennia ago. It's time for us to fully commit to do the same. And so as we celebrate Ruth in this holiday with the welcoming of Ruth to Judaism, the grandmother of King David, I invite you to open your arms with a full heart and to welcome all those who are choosing to come to Jewish life. Shabbat Shalom, Chag Sameach. Now that you're comfortably seated, please rise. Page 47, Vayechu. ויחולו השמיים והארץ וכל צבאם, ויכל אלוהים ביום השביעי מלאכתו אשר עשה, ויתבוד ביום השביעי מכל מלאכתו אשר עשה. ויברך אלוהים את יום השביעי ויקדש אותו, כי בו שבת מכל מלאכתו אשר ברא אלוהים לעשות. ברוך אתה אדוני אלוהינו ואלוהי אבותינו, אלוהי אברהם, אלוהי יצחק ואלוהי יעקב, אלוהי שרה, אלוהי רבקה, אלוהי רחל ואלוהי לאה, האל הגדול, הגיבור והנורא, אל עליון, קונה שמיים וארץ, מגן אבות בדברו, מחיה מתים במאמרו, האל הקדוש שאין כמוהו, המניח לעמו ביום שבת קודשו, כי בם רצה להניח להם, כי בם רצה להניח להם, לפניו נעבוד ביראה ופחד, ונודה לשמו בכל יום תמיד מן הברכות אל ההודעות. אדון השלום מקדש השבת ומברך שביעי, ומניח בקדושה ויעמדו שני עונג, זכר למעשה בראשית. אלוהינו ואלוהי אבותינו, רצה במנוחתנו, קדשנו במצוותיך ותן חלקנו בתורתך, סבנו מטובך ושמחנו בישועתך, וטהר ליבנו לעבדך באמת, והנחילנו אדוני אלוהינו באהבה וברצון, שבת קודשך וינוחו בישראל, מקדש שמך, ברוך אתה אדוני מקדש השבת. יתקרא ויקרא שמי רבה, מימה דברה חירותי וימליך מלכותי, בחייכון וימיכון וחיי דכל בית ישראל, בעגלה בזמן קריב ימרו. יהי שמי רבה מברך, לעולם עולם המיה. יתברך וישתבח ויתפאר ויתרומם ויתנשא ויתהדר ויתעלה ויתהלש מקודשה בריחו לעילא מן כל ברכתה ושירתה תתברכתה ונחמתה דמירן בעלמה ואמרו אמן. תתקבל צלות הון ובאות הון דכל ישראל, קודם אבו הון דבשמיא ואמרו אמן. יהי Shlama Rabba Min Shemaya, V'chayim Aleinu V'Al Kol Yisroel V'yimeru, Amen. Ose Shalom Bimromav, Hu Yaseh Shalom. Aleinu V'Al Kol Yisroel V'yimeru, Amen. We turn to page 50 for the festival Kiddush. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam borei peri hagafen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher bachar banu mikol ha'am v'romem banu mikol ha'shon v'kiddeshanu b'mitzvotav. V'atiten lanu Adonai Eloheinu b'yava Shabbatot limenucha u'moadim l'simcha Chagim uzmanim l'sason Et Yom HaShabbat hazeh V'et Yom Chag HaShavuot hazeh Ziman matan Toratenu b'yava mikra kodesh Zecher l'tziat Mitzrayim Kivanu v'acharta v'yotanu Kidasha mikol ha'amim v'shabbat u'moadei kodshecha b'yava u'v'ratzon v'simcha u'sason hinchaltanu Baruch atah Adonai mikadesh ha'shabbat v'Yisroel v'hazmanim Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech ha'olam Shehechianu v'kiyamanu v'higianu lazman hazeh. That's squeezing in a lot of words in a little melody. Page 51. Aleinu l'shabeach l'Adon hakol atik gedula liotzer brishid shelo asanu ki goyei ha'aratzot v'lo samanu k'mitbechor ha'adama shelo sam chelkeinu kahem v'gor aleinu Shamayim v'yoser haaretz Moshe v'karo b'shamayim imal U'shchinatu zo b'gov ha'meromim Enor ha'memakenu v'zulato Kakatu b'torato V'yadata yom v'ashivota elivavecha Ki Adonai hu ha'Elohim B'shamayim imal V'yal haaretz mitachat Enor Kakatu b'torah takananayin loch le'olam bo'er v'nemar v'haya Adonai le'melech ha'kol ha'aretz bayom ha'hu yeh Adonai echad u'shemo echad u'shemo echad. May be seated. Our hearts go out to the families of Rabbi Harold Kushner and Gerald Scott Turk. We're observing the yard sites of Jack Alter, Shirley Alter, Molly Burnett, Fillmore Cohen, Ida Eisenbaum, Louis Fallis, Jacob Frank, Isidore Freed, Ruth Garoff, Abe Greenberg, Irving Greenstein, Betty Jean Kaplan, Jenny Grossman Karn, Rita Lapin, Meredith Long, Leah Peterman, Doris Rosenblatt, Goldie Rashevsky, Sylvia Schneider, Alan Shapiro, Marshall Starrer, Sid Wallace, Michael Wallace, Mark Warshaw, Harold Weisfeld, Henry Wind, and Emmanuel Zarin. All those in a period of mourning, observing a yard site, we ask you to please rise. Words of Mourner's Kaddish on page 52. Yitgadal v'yitgadash shemei Rabbah. B'yalma divra kirutei v'yamlich malchutei. B'chayechon v'yomechon v'chayeh d'chol Beit Yisrael. Ba'agala uvizman kari v'yimru amen. Yehi shmei Rabbah mevarach li'olam l'omei amaya. Yitbarak v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh. V'yithadar v'yit'aleh v'yithalal shmei d'kudusha brichu. Le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata. Tushbechata v'nechemata da'amiran b'yalma v'yimru amen. Yehi shlama Rabbah min shemaya. V'chayim aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'yimru amen. Oseh shalom b'mromav, hu ya'aseh shalom. Aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'yimru amen. You may be seated. Lily, welcome back. Just brighten the sanctuary. It's wonderful. I literally have no announcements in front of me. Every synagogue at this point, all the staff in every synagogue is looking forward to Sunday as the first day of, it's much calmer for the next month or two. It's wonderful. In a sense, we get to recharge our batteries so that we can be ready for everybody comes Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur. The only two things I know of that are happening right now, I know there'll be a congregational meeting. Watch for that information. We'll be electing a slate of officers, passing budgets, little things like that. And then in addition, in the middle of the summer is Tisha B'Av, during which we will read the book of Lamentations and observe the destruction of the temple in Jerusalem, both temples. Tomorrow morning, 9:30, we will read the book of Ruth. We will once again go through Shabbat and festivals. You'll notice the melodies going back and forth throughout. It's a challenge to anybody trying to keep it in your head where you're going with it. Anything else I've missed? Jerry. Friday Night Ruach, June 2nd. You're absolutely right. Thank you. All right. Let's conclude tonight with Yigdal, page 53. Yigdal Elohim chai ve'yishtabach nimtza v'yener el metziyuto echad v'in yachid ke'yichudo nelam v'gam ein sod li'achduto ein lo demut hagov ve'yeino gov lo naro kela kedushato kadmon lechol davar asher nivra rishon v'in reshit le'reshito hino adon olam v'chol notzar yoreh gedulato malchuto shefa nevuato nitano elan shesegulato v'tifarto lo kam b'Yisrael kemo she'or navi u'mavir et emunato Torat emet natan yamoel hayad nevion eman beito lo yachal Yifa'el velo yamir dato v'olam lezolato tzofeh v'yodea sitarenu mabir lesof davar b'kadmato אומר לאיש חסד כמפעלו, נותן לרשע רע כרשעתו, ישלח לקץ ימין משיחנו, לפדות מחכה קץ ישועתו, מתים יחייל ברוך חסדו, ברוך הדעת שם דירתו, מתים יחייל ברוך חסדו, ברוך הדעת שם דירתו. We rise and find someone to bless. Yivarechecha Adonai v'yishmerecha, Ya'er Adonai panav elecha v'yichonecha, Yisa Adonai panav elecha v'yasem lecha shalom. Shabbat shalom, Chag Sameach.